Hey everybody, I'm Dr. Jacob Larson. This is Read, Write, and Cite, channel where I teach you how to read, write, and cite for your college classes. So, I was giving a lesson to some of my students today, actually. And it's like, okay, this might be something that's beneficial to record. So, what are we going to go over in this video? We're going to talk a little bit about grammar. What is it? What is it not? And give some examples to kind of put this into context. All right, so here we go. What is grammar? Grammar, the way I define it, grammar is using the right words in the right order, which is probably not a definition you're going to see somewhere else. Let me continue to clarify this by saying what grammar isn't, right? Okay. I have really bad handwriting. Sorry about that. Grammar, punctuation, and spelling. When I write instructions for an essay, I'm going to say, all right, now make sure to avoid mistakes in grammar, punctuation, and spelling. And I realize maybe some of my students think those are all the same thing. They're not, okay? Grammar, it's about word order. And my handwriting's really bad. And word choice, it's not about meaning. When we talk about grammar, we're talking about the function of words. Different words in a sentence have a certain job. Are they describing something? Are they connecting things? Are they showing the relationship between other words? That has nothing to do with the actual meaning, the vocabulary meaning of the words, but they have a function. They're doing a job. That's what I mean by not about meaning. Grammar is about word order and word choice, using the right words, word choice, and the right order. I'm going to keep explaining that. Here we go. Punctuation, those are the symbols that you get when you are looking at a page. You're getting a period, you're getting your semicolons, your colons, your exclamation points, your question marks. Those are all symbols that help the reader to understand what's happening on the page. This is punctuation. This is not punctuation, though. They overlap. Obviously, they affect each other. And then spelling, that's all about the letters, right? Words, letters, symbols. We need to stop and backtrack and explain the difference between what the rules are in reality, right? When we are speaking, communicating, we're writing, we're texting, however we are communicating with each other, there's a difference between what you're expected to do in an English class, what we're expected to do in the business world, in society, in the legal situations, versus what we expect with our friends, with our families. These people probably aren't judging our writing. They probably don't care. As long as you say something and they get it, it's good enough. Who cares if there's punctuation in your text? Who cares if you use the wrong word? If people understand, it's good. But society and the world, they may have different expectations. Ultimately, English writing is all about being understood and understanding other people. Why do we follow standard English rules? Well, we're told to. That's not a good reason. A better reason is it's the acceptable version for how to present information in our language, in English, so you're more likely to be understood if you're following those rules than if you decide to or fail to follow those rules. Does that make sense? If I'm not following an established word order, if I'm not following the normal structure of an English sentence, I might not be understood. You might be confused. Or if you're doing it, I may not understand you. That's when it's a problem. It's not because teacher said to or didn't follow the rules. It's because it's getting in the way of being understood and communicating with each other. Grammar is about helping us to understand kind of those established orders and word choices, the kinds of words that we're using in certain situations. Again, not about meaning, but the function of words, so that when we're communicating, we're being understood. Okay? Now let's talk about let's give some examples of grammar, right? We have a basic sentence structure for essentially every sentence in the English language, right? So we have subjects and predicates. Subject is the part of the sentence where we identify who or what the sentence is about. Predicate is where we say something about them. So it's a description. Now this confuses a lot of my students. When I say, what's the sentence about? They may start telling me the subject, which, yeah, that makes sense, right? But our subject is who or what the sentence is about. So if I say the teacher was wearing a polo, subject is the teacher, not the description, right? Is wearing a polo is your predicate. It's the thing that is being said or described about the subject. Does that make sense? Okay. Now, let me dig into this even more. Okay. Subject, predicate. This is also the order that a sentence goes in. We begin by identifying the subject, the who or what that the sentence is going to be about, then some sort of description about that person, place, thing, idea, or concept, that subject that the sentence is going to be about. Now this can be complicated. We can add more information here. We can add more information here. We can even add more information here. But this structure is still going to be there and in that order. The predicate will never be before the subject, and the subject's not going to show up at the end. There's very, very few exceptions where we kind of imply the subject in a sentence, or we use pronouns to kind of hint at what it is. That's not what I'm talking about. The average sentence, we identify who or what we're talking about, then we say something about them. Sometimes we add a little bit of detail before, sometimes we add a little detail in the middle, sometimes we add a little detail at the end. But all of the major kinds of sentences, four, is what they do. This is the basic order of a sentence. Now, within this order, we have different parts of speech, and this is where understanding grammar really helps us out. So, what's a subject? Well, a subject is going to be a noun or a pronoun. Well, that's not going to make much sense to me unless I know what a noun or a pronoun is. Person, place, thing, idea, or concept, that's a noun. A pronoun is kind of a placeholder word. In most cases, that's going to basically represent a noun, so we don't have to say its name over and over again. Subject. It's going to be a phrase that starts with a verb and then has some sort of description. That description may be what the subject is doing, what the subject has done, what the subject will do, or it may be a description of the subject, like the color of their clothes or their hair or however many there are of them. This is what sentences do. Understanding grammar helps us to recognize that structure and then, and here's the useful part, see if something is wrong with it. If something is out of order, if something is not parallel, if we start a description but we don't finish it. This is where we run into mistakes with our grammar, is when we vary from that structure, the function of words, too much. So this is kind of the big picture why understanding grammar is relevant and important, because it helps us to see, okay, if I want to be understood, if I don't want to confuse whoever I'm talking to, what am I doing that's varying from, that I can fix in my structure? Maybe I'm using a word wrong, or maybe I start a description I don't finish. I ramble on. Maybe I'm failing to have some punctuation, or I misspelled something. Those are all different things that we can fix, but ultimately, if we're trying to be clear, understanding grammar can help us to recognize mistakes because it's not following an established guideline, and then to do something about it. So that's why grammar is important. I hope that this was helpful. If you have questions, please feel free to let me know in the comments. But that's it. I'm Dr. Jacob Larson. This has been Read, Write, and Cite, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.